Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Sumaira Lateef from Institute of Pharmacy, Lahore College for Women University, and I welcome you all on today's webinar titled Challenges and Opportunities for Pharmaceutical Industry amid COVID-19. Before starting the official proceeding, I will recite few verses from the Holy Quran. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Illal lazina amanu wa amilus salihati wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Sadaqallahul azim.
Jazakallah.
Now I will invite Director Institute of Pharmacy, Lahore College for Women University, Professor Dr. Humaira Majid Khan for the welcome note.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Very respected speakers, faculty members, and the dear students. This is, I feel, very much immense pleasure to tell you all about that this is the 4th international webinar that Institute of Pharmacy, Faculty of Pharmaceutical and Allied Health Sciences is organizing under the headship of Professor Dr. Bushra Mirza, Vice Chancellor, Lahore College for Women University. This is very much relevant today's event with the upcoming and the past environment and the incidents that's going on. Pharmaceutical industry and pharmaceutical pharmacist, industrial pharmacist, played a very great and challenging role during this COVID-19. As per my information, the pharmaceutical industry was running day and night to cope up the requirement of the general public. They were making sanitizers, they were making certain disinfectants, they were giving medicines in time to the hospitals and the community pharmacy. As for our pharmacist is concerned, which are being passed out from the Institute of Pharmacy for last 13 years, I again feel honored to tell all about that our pharmacists are the best pharmacists in the town. The pharmacists are playing very major role in industry. The most of the seats are being occupied by the Institute of Pharmacy, and the industry welcome our graduates to work in the industrial pharmacy. In Institute of Pharmacy, the Department of Pharmaceutics and my faculty members, my colleagues, very much emphasized on the industrial pharmacy. We gave a very wide view to our students. We give them a rotation in the industry. We update them about the issues and the problems faced in the industry. And we have a very launching pad for the pharmacists who wants to join the industry as the career. I feel very much honored, and definitely it's a great pleasure for me that the Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Bushra Mirza, always encouraged in the Faculty of Pharmaceutical and Allied Health Sciences. My faculty members, Dr. Sumaira Lateef, Ms. Hafza Afzal, Ms. Misbah, Ms. Tahseen Sahar, they worked very much hard for the upgradation of the industry as well as the industrial pharmacist working in the different fields. I also thankful to my international speakers who placed their name over here and who provided us their opportunity to welcome them on this platform. I'm thankful to my national speakers as well. These all are the renowned persons in the industrial pharmacy. Now, I say all of you, God bless, stay home, stay safe, and all the protections that you can that the government is announcing day by day, please opt that. God bless you all and wish you good luck. Thank you.
Uh, Lucy is not here, but she has recorded her message for the present webinar. So, firstly, we will listen the message from the Vice Chancellor.
Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to today's webinar. The title of today's webinar is Challenges and Opportunities for Pharmaceutical Industry Amid COVID-19. We all believe that COVID-19 has posed a lot of challenges to mankind overall, but it has offered a lot of opportunities as well. And as we see that COVID-19 affected all industries throughout the world, and pharmaceutical industry is no exception to that, but at the same time, it has offered opportunities as well. Industrial pharmacists have the role to ensure availability and production of the right drug for the right patients. And I'm sure the very experienced industrial pharmacists, which our Pharmacy Institute has gathered as galaxy of speakers with us, I'm sure their experience will be very helpful for our students. I'm so very thankful to our speakers, Mr. Anjum Shafiq, Mr. Ruth Stanley, Dr. Yasir Mahmood, and Mr. Shoaib Hakim for being with us. They have extensive experience in pharmaceutical industry. I'm sure their experience will be a very learning opportunity for our students and young researchers. I congratulate our director, Dr. Humaira Majid Khan, and her team for organizing this seminar, which will be highly educating for our students and young researchers. Thank you.
Now I will invite our first speaker, Mr. Anjum Shafi. Currently, he is serving as Section Communication Chair at American Society of Quality and has great expertise in pharmaceuticals and medical devices, pharmaceutical product design, production, quality control, packaging and labeling, expiration control, design of the manufacturing facility and process flow, pharmaceuticals and medical devices and medical device distribution. So, Mr. Anjum Shaki, we are very much look forward to hear from you.
Good morning, everyone. I think this is first of all, good morning from Ottawa, Canada. It's early morning, so I just woke up. So first of all, thank you very much for the very beautiful message, Professor Dr. Bushra Mirza, and we really appreciate and for her acceptance and to allow us to participate to give our thought on the subject on the subject matter. I'm also very much thankful for Dr. Humaira, who introduced me, and also for the team, especially also Dr. Tassin, who was working from day one with us and trying to reach us at whatever the moment was necessary and to provide us the information, which was definitely very in time and without any delay. So that's definitely a huge applause to hold the faculty members also who were present, and also for the students who are the lifeblood of the pharmaceutical professional here and everywhere in the world, because wherever they are serving as a good human and for the betterment of the patient. Just the introduction has been given by Dr. Humaira. I'm currently working as a advisor and acting chief in Health Canada. And I had offices over in capital, which is Ottawa. So for my activities also include some voluntary work, which is also with the Standard Council of Canada on one of the working group. Also in one of the internal working group for ICH, I'm also part of that. Historically, I have also worked for the pre-qualification, WHO pre-qualification program, and also having a manufacturing experience, worked about 20 years in the hospital pharmacy. So it's a blend of experience, and definitely I think the opportunities are huge for all the youngsters who are joining, who has been graduated or who are graduating from this institution. This is incredible. I mean, I heard from Dr. Homera that the institution has grown, and also from your Vice Chancellor that the institution is outstanding in their performance and facilitating all the information to the students, so that when they are leaving the institution, they are empowered with the knowledge and the expertise, which is definitely important at this point. Coming to before we jump into the today's topic, I just want to bring to the attention, number one, the story of the Kodak, which was the company which has been involved in the filmmaking process and also the digital cameras. And now this company is going towards the manufacturing of the pharmaceutical API and starting material. So that's why this trend is there. What's the consequences and why this is a planning of this in Kodak film company. The other example is from the Apple. Steve Jobs, everyone knows him. So how he approached the marketing with the simple message. Initially, they started with a very lengthy message, and then after that, they end up with a simple message, which was definitely very groundbreaking for them, and it's gave them a jump start into the business of computers. Now, coming to the challenges and the opportunities for the pharmacy industry, and it's not only the pharmacy industry, but also for all the industries, manufacturing industries and quality industries, and even everywhere where we see outside world, everywhere there's the impact of the COVID-19. Its scare or its fear or its existence is always we see there. Before I proceed further, just to give a reminder that all the mentions and views and opinions expressed here in these presentations are solely mine, and all the images and everything which is used in this presentation, they are copyrighted, and they are also licensed, properly licensed. So, and all these views are not from any company, organization, or even from my employer, Health Canada. Moving to the session agenda. Presentation half in the length, just to accommodate our time period, which is allowed by our respectable faculty members. The first is the regulatory initiatives, the cause of this COVID-19 pandemic, and what it has triggered at their regulatory landscape. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm also a regulator. Health Canada is exactly just like a US FDA or health ministry in Pakistan. So this is exactly the same how we are going to deal with this situation, and what challenges we came across, because it's definitely also important to know for everyone. And this is transparent. There's nothing hidden. Everything is the news or on the websites. Then we'll be proceeding to the challenges for the pharmaceutical industry, opportunities for the pharmaceutical industry. When there is a problem, there's definitely, when we're going to resolve that, definitely we are also finding a lot of opportunities, and that's where the human being gets some kind of innovation and imagination to improve the processes, or to make it a little bit different. That's stand out and gives a unique value or usefulness to the mankind. Then some, because I noticed that this presentation is especially, my audience is a majority of the students. So what's important in this? Because if I only talk about the pharmaceutical industry as a whole, the students who are still graduating, what to them, what's value it will having today when they finish this or listen to this presentation. So something about that. And then we have also the research opportunity, which is definitely covered under the resources for the students. So it will be helpful. And then as we go there, then definitely we will talk about that. Now Whenever we are looking at our processes and any industry, whether it's a pharmaceutical industry or a chemical industry, we definitely know that there's always a better way to do the thing. 19 situation when everyone is having a stress, emotional stress, there's a physical distance or whatever we see in the news or in the media. This has even more than ever. It's essential that the manufacturers ensure the quality of their products and safety of their employees. That's also important. So there are two things which are very important. The quality has to be maintained, whatever we are producing during or before this epidemic happened. And also the safety of the employees, which is very important. And that's the prime importance, whether it's the normal routine, regular life, or whether it's a new normal, which we will be following after we have some control on this epidemic. The safety, definitely, I mean, if we Google or if we go to the search engine, we will find a lot of things where there are a lot of mishaps are reported in the industry because of poor instructions, poor SOPs, and lack of instructions to the, or lack of understanding by the employees or technicians or workers. So we see that there are always a major disaster happens in the industry all the time. So, and especially in this case, when the physical contact is also very important and highlighted, definitely the safety definitely comes at the beginning. Coming to the regulatory landscape, what happened at the regulatory side, whether it's in Australia, Canada, or FDA or EMA, European Regulatory Agency. So they have been very active. They are proactive. They have a business plan. They have also how they're going to monitor the quality and how they're going to facilitate the companies and industry, so that in this case, in this situation when there is a lot of issues, which we'll definitely look into these slides, there are lot of issues happening, then how we are going to maintain the supply, reasonable supply of the quality drugs to the population where we are have a controls. So in this case, when we look at the FDA has very recently, they issued a quality question and answer document, which is a guidance document, and which talks about the manufacturing supply chain and drug biological product inspections during COVID-19, which is a public health emergency question and answer. And it was published in August 2020. If you Google, it will be on the web. FDA is issuing this guidance just to facilitate, just to make it easy for the industry to respond to their queries, because there are a lot of questions that the industry is asking. Okay, I cannot, my staff cannot enter into the laboratory. How they're going to test the product? My batch, my supplier is not very instant in my accepting or delivering the order. So my batches are being delayed. So what are the consequences it has in the market if I'm not able to meet my promise to the customers, and all these things together. So that's bundled up with the different kind of issues which has been discussed in the document. And it talks about the policy issues and inspections and pending drug application, and also changes in the manufacturing facilities. When I say pending drug applications, these are the normal routine applications which coming to all regulatory agencies, just like us in Health Canada, and also in the European Union. And all these regulatory agencies are receiving the application as normal. I mean, there's no any change. There's no short of the staff. Everyone is working remotely. As just this webinar is an example of this, how the things are going well smoothly now. We have a technology, we have a people, and we have a beautiful audience which is definitely available to listen to us. So all these things are available. That's why the regulatory agencies are at the top, at an excellent condition at this point. There's no any issue with regard to the provision of the services which the regulatory agency is providing. So the FDA, this document especially talks about the inspection, because there is a limitations with regard to the distance between the inspectors and also the staff which is working in the facilities. This has to be respected, and other things which are important, how they're going to maintain their distance, how they're make them keep safe during inspection, or if there is definitely need for inspection or not, or is there a possibility to have some kind of a remote inspection or audit. These kind of things are definitely, I mean, covered into this document. Now when we look at the European regulatory agency, they are the EDQM. I mean, they have a business continuity plan, which EDQM is mainly look after the pharmacopoeia, the quality standards, and also they also are responsible for issuing the certification of suitability, which is assigned to the drug substance. And this is the certification of suitability is assigned to all the products monographs, which are in the European pharmacopoeia, not in the USP, but in the European pharmacopoeia. So all the products which are in the European pharmacopoeia, they could be allowed a certification of suitability, which determines the standard according to the monograph. So this is according to EDQM. They have a business continuity plan, which is also published in August 2020. This is available on their website, and this is also talked about the protection of the public health in COVID. And it also talks about that all the information as core activities are being done without any interruption, which is include the updating the pharmacopoeia, the chapters, and the quality standards, and all other things which are definitely important. At this point, which is most important for as a regulator, what we see, or what all the regulatory agencies are looking at, including the developed or in developing countries, is the most important thing is that the availability and access of the patients for patients with the quality medicines, which is important, and then ever before the COVID-19 pandemic. Because now we have more issues. We have a restricted access to health facilities. We have restricted access to one-to-one meeting with the doctors, with our clinics. So this create a kind of, and also we have a interruption in the supply line. Definitely, this is more important than before. It is also recognized that the COVID-19 pandemic may impact the conduct of clinical trials. That's also important. Clinical trials cannot be stopped. They are running for the regular business and also for the products which are definitely priority. And everyone knows this, the introduction and development of the vaccines to deal with the virus, COVID virus. The shortages have been a long time ago. This was an issue. It has been an issue for the years. It has been an issue now, and it will stay as an issue. But now in this, especially under COVID-19, we see that there are more challenges because the facilities are not working normally, not working around the clock. They have interruptions. Their staff cannot reach to the facilities. The manufacturing processes are halted. And also they have some other issues, supply of the material, they don't receive it, they don't package it, they can't package it. So all these things, transportation, curfew stages somewhere. So all these information when bundled up, so this is definitely increasing the shortage more. Just to give an idea, if we just find out on search engine, we see a lot of stories on the drug shortages, not under this specific circumstances, but always. So this is definitely very important. Then we have a data integrity issue, which is definitely also important, how the companies are dealing with the data. If it is can be trusted, if we can believe on it, or how we are going to control that. So there is no forge of the calculations, or they are not the missing numbers. So that's definitely, if the data integrity is intact, it means we can by confidence we can say that the product which are being produced, manufactured, they are meeting and they are conforming to the specifications which the regulator has approved, or which are in the compendial monographs. Then we have a general changes in the inspection and audit practices. I just talked about that, the inspections, how the FDA has generated this document. You go and read it. It talks about where they will be going to inspect the facilities, high-risk facilities, where they have some issues, or they will be mostly trying to work at remote. And the audit, which is a remote audit, they will be doing this. So the companies can also do their internal auditing via remote access to their facilities using cameras and other things. So that's definitely digital products can be useful. That technology can be very helpful. Then we have virtual inspections and audits as just a part of the point above. But it also has including challenges and best practices, which we will definitely talk into the next couple of slides. Whenever there is a crisis, there is also an opportunity. It's always an opportunity. We always struggle for the process efficiency and continuous improvement to protect the business. This is the lean manufacturing. When we are continuously trying to improve something and to enhance or to enhance the process efficiency and reducing the waste. It means we are following the lean practices, and that's something which is normal, but now it's definitely more important, so that we should minimize the waste, so that we should not be having a shortage because of the waste. So that's something which is very important. There's also an opportunity, discovering opportunities to build a productive team that reduces over time. So we have a team which is tuned up, which is definitely knowledgeable, able, and they are any procedure or test without any delays, and with the limited attention and supervision. We also see that there's it also discover opportunities to build short-term, short staffing scenarios. This is exactly the situation which we have now in the manufacturing facility, having 100 employees. Now they are short with about say 20% or maybe 30% of the staff. So that's a scenario definitely is also gives us an opportunity that with the limited resources, limited people, human resource, or maybe limited kind of process systems, how we are going to deal with the situation. So definitely that's also triggered some innovation, imagination, how we're going to deal with these scenarios. And finally, there's explore the data to uncover the root cause of productivity. So this is also a very good time in the present circumstances. For example, if we are running a manufacturing of a tablet and it takes about 6 hours, and we know that we can reduce it to say 4 hours, we can definitely see that, okay, how we are going to improve the productivity. Maybe we have to make our machines tuned up. Maybe we have to make some of our staff give more training, so that the time spent on unnecessary non-value-added items can be taken out, and then we can make it shorter, which is definitely very important in all the time because of the business interest of the manufacturing CEO or the president, and also in the present circumstances when we have limited resources. Definitely, we don't want to lose even a minute in the production line. When we talk about the coronavirus pandemic, so I just want to highlight that whatever the problems we see now, they are already existing. They already existed, but now they are more prominent because we are giving attention to it, and we are not living a normal life. That's why perhaps is a definitely major factor that we are not focusing on that what's happening, and perhaps we are blaming to the coronavirus, but definitely this is already there. I start with the quality and process, which need to be better all the time. We see that there are product recalls, there are the quality issues, and there are also manufacturing losses. We just spoke about that. So this is all because of the quality process, which need to be better. And we just saw that in one of the slides that there's always a better way to do the things. So this is most important thing in whole of this slide. This is talking about the reducing waste, learning a lean processes, value-added activities, don't doing anything which is non-productive, which is just for information. We definitely have to skip that. We have to see that the profits, the quality process are run better. Definitely the company is getting more profits, and the branding that, okay, this is the company A is doing well, so I will buy that product. So that also indirectly return to the bonuses to the employees and also to the company. And overall, it also extend the safe products in the market. That's also very important. Then also the fans. If we like that, okay, this product from this company is always of good quality, good packaging, always in a good shape, and I have whatever is prescribed is working well. So definitely we have a lot of fans. So this is the time of social media. I just added a Tesla here. The Tesla is the only car company which doesn't have a zero advertisement budget. So they only work on the fans. So they have a lot of fans which buy their car. So this is something which is very interesting. It's not like Toyota. It's not like Volkswagen or Honda, which spent a lot of millions of dollars on advertisements. But Tesla has a unique in this. So that's something which we can see that how this value to give us through the companies an improvement in the production and the profits. Now, other thing is the taking and giving feedback seriously. This is very important. This is not because of the coronavirus it is important. This has already been there. If we look at the quality management system from ISO or from GMP perspective, the customer satisfaction has been and will be on the top all the time. And this is definitely important. When we take the feedback, there's a product recall is minimized, the quality is improved. So it definitely has a direct, indirect impact on the quality and the well-being of the staff also. Then we have a continuous improvement. This is which is a lean process, which we just talked about. This is a key. It depends on the knowledge, how much knowledge we have, how much skill and ability our staff has, and the resource management. We are going to make them train, and then we want to offer them a better onboarding training, which is important. Then we have also regulatory controls and compliance that are always been there, and there is no doubt. So they are must. Again, they are must. Now they are as important as they were before this coronavirus pandemic. This is because of the legal reason, safety reason, and also the quality of the product. Then we have a reducing workplace anxiety is essential. This is something which has always been there, but it was a little bit the most neglected thing, which is we have seen. I mean, if we look at the in your faculty, I mean, there might be a scenario where we have some conflict with our teammate, with our supervisor or somewhere. So this is exactly lead to anxiety and also affect the well-being of the employees or the students or anywhere where we are. And this also reduce employee engagement. We are not connected with our work, and definitely it affect the quality and as also affect the life of our at home and at work. Also health, learning opportunities, innovation and making decisions is definitely all these are effect of the anxiety if it is at the high level. And currently when we see coronavirus pandemic, definitely there are limitations. People are have more scared and fear, and definitely this is adding up to this thing. Now we're coming to the challenges for the pharmacy industry. This is something which is very important. There are a lot of things we already spoke in a couple of slides, which definitely are the key to determine that how these things are challenging to the pharmacy industry at this point. But the most important thing is, if we don't have material, definitely we cannot run this process. I mean, this process cannot run, which you can see on the screen, unless we have supplies available to us. So this is something which is very important. And this is where the current situation is very alarming, that how we're going to maintain that. So when we look in detail, then there is a potential drug shortage, as I mentioned, that is always been the headlines in the media, and certainly, definitely, recently it's ongoing again. There's no change to this. It already existed, but it's still there. But perhaps it's more noticeable now because we have an interruption in the supply line in manufacturing because of the limited resources, limited availability of the staff working on the floor. Then we have manufacturing companies are also contending with the government mandated or recommended temporary shutdowns. We see in the media, the people are very much angry. They don't want to keep their shops closed. They want to go to the work. And same thing with the manufacturing companies. They are struggling with the government, and they are asking them to not to extend the temporary shutdown, something. And all these things are definitely also a challenge for the pharmaceutical industry. The company and the government, for example, forcefully not allowing the companies to run their business is definitely opposing situation. Now also there the new safety initiatives are there. How are we going to ensure employee health? This is as I mentioned, the industrial accidents happens all the time. Not now, but it always happens. So definitely there's a new safety initiatives, especially from the cleanliness perspective. Employee absence is also another now due to illness. It has been common, but now it's maybe because of the COVID. If someone is sick, they definitely is not able to join or come to the place to work. Then we have restrictions on importing, exporting, and also traveling. I mean, we cannot bring any material. We cannot import any raw material into the country. So these are the things which are very important. Then when we look at the pharmacy industry, when we see the current scenario, they cannot accurately determine the state of the technology which they have. That's also important. That is this technology which they have is definitely suitable for the current situation where they want to prevent waste and they want to increase the productivity. Then they have to, at this time, they also have to reevaluate their quality suppliers and management and quality supply chain, just to see that where the risk is and how they can cut down the supply time and also make sure that the business is continued. It's also, they have to align the production with their quality teams, depending on the availability of the staff and how they're going to align the production. If the staff is available, let's say if someone is available only in the after hours, and how they're going to align this with the availability of the staff, or the laboratory can only run in the evening because of just to providing a space between daytime teams and the nighttime teams. Definitely, there's some operations are kept pending just for the second shift. So that's something which is covered under here. Then we have also to test the new strategies to achieve that the right balance between people and performance, that how we're going to maintain this balance, that the people are definitely productive and they are also kept well with regards to their health. There's also dealing with the problematic suppliers. I mean, the companies have a commitment. They had a commitment before COVID pandemic, but now they are reluctant to provide this material because they have their different priorities. Maybe the region where they are located, that might be their priority now under these circumstances. So this is definitely a very other challenge. One thing which is important, that we cannot imagine all the scenarios, worst scenarios which can happen. A catastrophic, such as COVID-19 or any other environmental disaster can occur at any time, and which can disrupt the whole manufacturing process and the supply chain. This is one of the projects which is right at the bottom of this slide deck, and that definitely I just want to mention here, if the students, it's a kind of a trigger that how this can be helpful and can be a good research topic in the future. Then we have challenges also at the individual company level. The companies are now focused on more operational resilience and accelerating initiatives. Resilience is in fact the ability to change. I mean, this is something which is very important all the time. I mean, if we have to survive in an environment, we have to be flexible to make changes, which is more prone to help us to remain productive in good health. And also depending on the availability of the material, how we're going to steer our way through the production line, so that we are still producing the products, we are still meeting the demand, making the product available. So this is something which is very important. Operational resilience is very important. As a person, resilience is also important, that how resilient we are, that we can adapt to the changes perfectly and without any delay, so that the things are moving well. Then the impact on the pharmaceutical production is definitely very important at this point because of these challenges, because of these issues. Most of the pharmaceutical factories in China resumed their production line as for now. The pharmaceutical industry concerns are especially heightened because of the India. We know that the India is one of the largest API manufacturer after China. And currently there are about 26, more than 26 active ingredients that India has restricted because of the issues from their supply line, and also because they want to prioritize their own country first. So this something which is very of concern to the pharmaceutical production side anywhere in the world. The UK has also banned the parallel export of the more than 80 drugs to protect supplies to remain within the country, so that they can be used without begging from other places. Same with the, we look at the United States or European Union as a whole. They are also trying to bring the manufacturing facilities back to soils. I mentioned in the beginning the Codex story. So this is something, which is exactly a good example that how the US is trying to bring manufacturing into US back, so that they should not be relying more on the external sources. Just to give an idea that how this is going to happen. I mean, geographically what happens in the normal situation. When we see that so this is a graph which is antibiotic manufacturers in the world, in the place where it is manufactured in the high volume and low volume. So these are the major countries: Italy, Japan, United States, and then we have mainland China, and we have India. So when we look at it, we see that these suppliers are located exactly what the number says here, mostly in India, and then we have also in China. And then we see that the API manufacturers for a specific drug, I have an example of azithromycin. So this is something very interesting. We have about 81 facilities which are possible manufacturing sites, which can manufacture azithromycin at this point. There are 43 sites are capable of producing commercial quantity of herbicides. So it means they are making the commercial quantities of API which they can sell. Not the small laboratory or little batches. So that's also it's see that if someone has to buy, they are making commercial quantity. It means they can supply to number of different facilities in the countries. Then we have 11 corporations and 19 individual sites that can supply to regulated markets. When we say regulated markets, these are the countries where for example, USD FDA is sitting. or Health Canada is sitting, or the EMA is sitting, which is a highly regulated market. They have a strict controls on the API manufacturing, the GMP, and the processes and everything. So that's where when we see from these 43, and we will see that this is only the 11 are corporations, and the only 19 individual sites that can supply to the regulated market. So these are the numbers which have access to these markets, and if they have material, they can supply, and there should be no issue. So then we have of those 19 sites, which is just above, we have 12 sites which have an active US drug master file. So this is the master files. It means they have processes which are lined up exactly, and this is definitely very easy to have. So what happens in the regulatory environment, that if we have a drug master file and that is available to the regulatory agencies, then it's an easier for the manufacturer of the products to access to that drug master file and use that as a data to get approval for their finished product. So this is when we say that they have an active master file. So it means for this particular specific drug substance, azithromycin. So it means if someone want to market the product in US, or if US is interested to bring the manufacturer of the product to their country, then they have a 12 active master files, and the manufacturer of the product can easily use those material from these supplies, provided the material is available and the companies are definitely willing to sell that. Then we have a 9 valid European certificate of suitability that I mentioned you, that all these, the European monograph, the company can get the certification of suitability. It's just like going through the whole process, then the EDQM goes through that, and then they issue a certification of suitability. Just a stamp, a certificate that this material meet the European pharmacopoeia requirements, monograph requirements, and that's and it also gives a guarantee to the buyer. If someone is a manufacturer, it gives a guarantee that okay, this material can be purchased without any doubt, and this is also a good quality. So it means it also shorten the review cycle, the approval cycle for their finished product, because this certification of suitability means the drug substance part is already being done, already being cleared, already being assessed by the regulatory agency. So this is something which is very important, alarming that how limited resources we have in the world of this billions of people. Then we have COVID-19 and the future of the pharmaceutical products production. How it goes. There may be some growth in the demand for the last mile production postponement. For example, the companies who have committed to provide supplies, they might go back and they can say, okay, we want to limit the supplies now. We had a order of 100 kg, but we are only supplying 50 kg. They're just prioritizing their own local market. So that might be the reason. Example is India. I gave the example. India want to keep it with them, or China want to keep the material with them, or the Europe, UK want to keep the material with them, so that they should not have the shortage within their own domains. Then we have a potential and gradual shift away from the global supply chain. Self-sufficient local supply chains will be definitely more active, because now we see there's a transport issue, import issue, export issue. Then definitely this is the most important, that how we're going to make ourselves self-sufficient. The companies might rely to work on this structure again. Then in the aftermath, then the intense focus is on the risk management across networks and supply chains. How are we going to deal with that? So these are the things which is definitely the future topics of pharmaceutical production, and also the research interest. Then also it includes the automating the manufacturing process, so that we are fast on our production lines, and we can meet the demand with the limited resources. Increasing the digital data availability, definitely more important, and it also decreases the reliance on the manpower, the human being. So if, for example, we have a batch and we have a battery of tests which is done automatically, then definitely it means we are limiting we have a flexibility to use the minimal manpower and to run the process effectively as normal. Then we have technology advancement, and definitely we talked about the how is going to be affected when the auditing is done really remotely in the product release. Just to give an idea that this is not happening right now, but this is the future. I mean, we don't see any scenario in which the companies ask from any regulator that they want to release a product sitting at home. No, because the technology has to be proved, has to be validated, and then these tools come into play. Then now coming to the opportunities for the pharmaceutical industry. So there are learning opportunities all the time. Whenever there's a crisis, when there is a problem, then definitely there's an opportunity for wherever we are sitting. Now, when we look at from this specific scenario, we need that the industry need for appropriate planning to minimize the impact of supply chain disruptions. For example, if we see that currently, if a manufacturing facility is buying a material from a company A, they should have a company B as a backup. Sometimes it's a part of their regular process. Sometimes they just rely on one supplier, and that supplier, even in normal circumstances, if the supplier is not available, the material is not available, or it's delayed, then they have a delay in the pharmaceutical production, and definitely it adds to the cost. Then we have ensuring quality is the key under all circumstances. There's no compromise into that, whether it is before, now, in the future. So that's always is the key. Then the COVID-19 pandemic also emphasized the need to reevaluate the whole supply chain and management system. This is something which is very, very important as a student or the professionals who are working. It's very important that how we are going to revitalize our supply chain so that we should not have any issues. Maybe the company has not encountered this issue now, but definitely this is a very good opportunity to learn from all these, learn from China, or they came back to the normal life well advanced of any other country, and how this manufacturing facility in particular can look into these things to improve those items. Then we have also the shift to the more region specific diverse supply chain. As I mentioned, there might be a shift that the companies may be only trying to work in their own sphere, in their own geographic area. Giving example again for the India or China, they want to limit their supplies or the sales only within their region so that they should not have shortage within their country, which is the priority, definitely. Then appropriate mix of local and global industry for support processes. Whenever we see that there is an issue in the manufacturing process, the most important thing is the support processes, not the manufacturing process as a core process. For example, if we are making a tablet, it means we are mixing the ingredients, we are going to the mixer, we are putting in lubricant, and then we are punching on the tablet machine, and then we have a tablet. So this process is smooth, it's working well. But what happens that with the support processes, for example, the quality control, for example, the supply of the raw material, and also for the testing sample, you have sent the in-process test and it has not come back, and you're waiting and you have the process stopped unless we have a results. So all these supporting processes are important. When there's a fault in the process, the supporting process is definitely blameable. When there's an issue, there's a shortage, or there's a delay in the production, there's a waste, or there's a root cause analysis we have to investigate, we have to start with the support processes. So just to give an idea, just a broader aspect, that this is not 1-2 line sentence. This is definitely very, very important every time. Then we have capabilities to meet specific location and market. Exactly, that's if the company is sitting somewhere in the country where they don't have a demand, definitely they have to adjust, and they will maybe shifting. So this is something which is also important. Access to the diverse team of scientists and marketing team. This is also important, that we should be able to have access to the top-notch trained people all the time. So this is not, no one is born intelligent, no one is born very much knowledgeable at the time, but definitely training is one of the example that I think that the audience, my students, colleagues, they are lucky. I mean, they're having an access to the speakers like me, my colleagues, and my friends, which are also today available. I mean, this something is an opportunity for everyone. So, and the same opportunity goes to the pharmaceutical raw material supply chain. The API manufacturers also need to see that how they're going to diversify their site locations. For example, they notice that we had an export issue to US, and we know that we can maintain this. We have a capability, and we can hire the staff because of our financial stability. So that definitely they will have another plant right in the US as an example. So it means they initially, before this epidemic, they were able to export that, but now they want to have their localized presence in the country where they are interested. So that's the other thing. The other thing, the next point is the working with the local authorities and regulatory agencies to maintain visibility and sustaining production. This is most important, and I think this was lacking at most of the places, and especially if we just talk about the country like Pakistan or any other developing countries. There was perhaps the lack of because these countries perhaps were less ready to be working as an instant remote teams. So definitely it affected all the approval processes, the regulatory controls, or other things which definitely known to the people who are involved into that. But definitely this is the point when important that all the time, and especially in these circumstances, it's very important to have a bilat, to have a one-to-one discussion with the regulatory agencies to see where the flexibility can be applied, where we have we have a short of staff, we have short of supply chain material. So how are we going to work within the regulatory controls so that we are not compromising the quality of the product? So that's something which this dialogue, the second bullet, is very, very important all the time. And now this is very important because if there's something flexibility, it's only the regulatory agency can give you the flexibility. Then we have how to make it a great opportunity. I mean, this is something which is very, very important. The industry should focus on now. I started with 3. I'm sorry, this is 6 numbers because I kept on adding things. So this is the number 1 is the preparedness is the key. So these are the 6. So always have to be. I mean, we have to be prepared as an industry, as a student, or as a when we are in this profession. We have to prepare ourselves for the interview, for manufacturing process, as a quality analyst. So we have to prepare ahead of time so that if something happens, someone asks us for help, or if we have involved in some kind of root cause analysis, we are prepared beforehand. Then the people first promise. This is a slogan. I got it from the Volkswagen. I mean, if you go to the website Volkswagen, they have this year, they have a slogan, our people first promise. So what they have said that we promise that the people are number 1 priority and we want to serve them better. So this is more important. Whether it's a manufacturing facility or whether it's any area, the people are more important because they are the backbone of all the processes. In a manufacturing facility, if we don't prefer or don't give attention to our people, then we have a safety issue, we have a quality issue, and we have a product recall because of the low engagement, low involvement of the employees. That's the interest because of the people, so that's something which is very important, the well-being. And now in the current circumstances, safety is very important. Then we have psychological safety of employees in current scenario. This is now another aspect which has been added. Then the function and processes, that's also important, that how we're going to improve the functions, what are the non-value added activities we can stop. We can shorten the distance from say supplier to the manufacturing facility. How we're going to deal with that? Maybe we will talk with the local supplier compared to the other supplier which is located somewhere else at a distant place. So that can also be an efficient thing. So understanding priority, this is also important. I mean, we see that in the market now, we have a more sanitizer than anywhere else. If we look at the globally, there were more sanitizer approved this year in last 3-4 months. They had never been approved in that much quantity and volume in last 15-20 years. So it means the priority has been shifted to that. The companies knew that this is a profitable business. But definitely when we're talking about, we have a products, 10 products, these are niche products, and we know that how we're going to prioritize that. So that we are using resources to make the products which are definitely needed, not the products which are on our profile, but we can live with the limited staff, limited resources. We can work on the priorities. This is something which is very important. And the active communication with the regulatory authority, as I mentioned, this is the most important thing. Where if there's a doubt, there's no harm to contact your regulatory agency, asking them, okay, how are we going to deal with this situation? Our supplier is not providing supply. We have an issue. Our staff cannot enter into the building, and we have a delay in this testing. How are we going to comply with the regulations, and what flexibility is available? So that's something which is very important. Then also we're looking at the broadening. This is also important, that how we have to broaden the system evaluation beyond specific manufacturing practices. Initially, we were dealing with the supplier should be of good repute, should be doing well, it's a quality material. But now on top of that, we're also looking at where this is located and how efficient the supplier is in meeting our demands. This is important. And also we're looking at the options in different geographical regions, India or whatever the country is near to my country, or within my country, within my city. So that's something which is very important. The Kodak example, which is exactly tied to this, and I will give you an idea for that. Then we have a diverse and competent team experience. This is always important. The continuing education learning is a part of everyone who is involved in this business and wherever this is important. Intelligent outsourcing, we have to determine that where we have to outsource our materials. For example, if we are making a product here and we notice that another facility beside that is able to do some packaging, then definitely we try to outsource that so that the resource which we have with us that can be used directed toward the other processes which it will save time, it will make the product available and still maintain the quality. And here, and when, for example, if this is a new outsourcing plan, then definitely where the dialogue with the regulatory is important, that, okay, we have a limited staff and then now we want to outsource this part of manufacturing process to this company. So how we are going to have this approval or this process run faster so that we should not have any interruption. So, and definitely the regulatory agencies all having interest that the availability is of prime importance. Definitely there's a flexibility available, whatever is possibility. Then we have a product presentation option. For example, the smaller and larger packs. If we notice that the smaller packaging, we have to spend a lot of resources, and then we can have a larger pack. If available, we can go to that, or maybe we can seek some kind of approval for that. Then we have a robust quality management system. This is important. The quality management system should be well maintained and smart enough to find out if there is any problem. And there should be issue detection and resolution important, and manufacturing capacity exactly which can meet the demand. Then the supply of raw material we already discussed from multiple locations, and the appropriate sources and ability to distribute the products in different geographical regions. Now coming to the students, I know what. So this is all what about the general and what we have in our pocket at this time. What the challenges, opportunities, everything. Now, as a students, because the most of the audience today is my respectable students. So what research topics are available? That's something which we'll talk about. The number one is the lean manufacturing and minimizing waste. That is very important. If someone want to get expertise in the lean manufacturing, definitely there are sources available, and they can see how what kind of research project can be initiated based on surrounding this topic. Then we have team management and leadership skill. This is very important. We see that, okay, perhaps being a pharmacist, maybe it's not my cup of tea, or I don't like it, or maybe it's not relevant to me. No. When in a manufacturing industry, in a production, in a supply, we are signing a document or contract with the supplier. This is a management, this is a leadership skill. So that has to be built into your personality, your expertise right now. Writing skills, SOPs, procedures, contracts. So where we say that we have losses, okay, in this process we have a loss. We are able to reduce this to 2 hours less than compared to the normal process. If this process is running 10 hours, I can make it at 8 hours, because I know this is the procedure is wrong, people cannot understand this, and then definitely this is something which is very important. Then we have scenario building. Okay, this is all this opportunity which we have discussed. It gives a very good idea that if we have to build a scenario, okay, supplier has backed off. They have promised to supply 100 kg of material, but they are now supplying 50 kg. How are we going to deal with this situation? Do we have a backup plan? Do we have a backup supplier, or we have other problem or with the supplier, or how are we going to deal with this? We have a problem with the packaging material, it's not available. So how are we going to deal with that? So this is a scenario building, and this is a very good visualization how we can imagine that with the limited resources, how we can innovate the things. And then definitely, the imagination is open. There are many other topics. So the most important thing, the message is the learning and knowledge along the entire production system is very important. I know that I spoke with a couple of students when they go to the industry, they just go and they come back. I mean, when you are there, just follow that how this production system is working. So this is very important. Communication, you have to master on that. Systems and processes, all the things. This is important, whether this is a COVID and pandemic or whether it's a normal processes. Managing expectations. The expectation is if as a professional, we have to provide a top-notch service to our clients, customers, patient in a hospital pharmacy, in a dispensary, or as a manufacturing personnel or in the laboratory, we have to be meeting the expectations. And that's how we can do that. We have to continuously keep learning and going to scope creeping. Just Google it. This is a very interesting topic. It talks about that if, for example, we are making a product of 10 kg, and then it's going to be manufacturing 10 hours. But we have noticed that, okay, now we have some kind of a different issues. We don't have enough staff. We don't have a testing facility available until next 2 hours or 10 hours. So how are we going to deal? So our project is now going to have a different kind of, the flow. So that's something which is accommodated, and how we are going to avoid scope creeping. We have a scope that, okay, this project will be running this much time. So this is something which is very important. Then we have a resilience. That's we already talked about that. So just to give an idea, this is the scenario, the challenge and the opportunities, how you're going to discover this scenario and work on this. This is a research opportunity. Then we have cluster manufacturing. The Kodak example I gave, this is a company who was in the manufacturing of film and camera business, but now they have about $765 million waiting for them just to move on to this pharmaceutical facility manufacturing. So this is a cluster manufacturing. The USA plans to have everything within their. Then we have a simplicity in everything. That's the Apple story. Apple, it started with the Lisa computer, and they had a 9-page advertisement, but now after that they came up with only one sentence, which was think different. So just make the simple processes, and then we have to. This is the last slide. The deck will be available, and this is something which is also one thing which is very important under the circum scenario, how we build the scenario. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir. It was quite informative. We are really grateful to you for your time. Now I would like to request Ms. Ruth Stanley to please join us. Ms. Ruth, she has been serving as the regional director for the 14 ASQ sections across Canada. She has also served as the chair as well as the vice chair at ASQ Ottawa. She has worked as an analyst at Infrastructure Canada. Also in the Public Health Agency of Canada, she has served as the planning analyst, as sustainable development analyst, and as the policy analyst from different periods of the timings. She has also worked as the planning manager in the Natural Resource Canada and as a planning officer in the Health Canada. Also, for the Canada Customs and Revenue Agency, she performed her duties as the planning officer and also as an internal auditor for the different periods of the time. Madam, kindly share your views about this topic. Thank you so much.
So good morning, everyone, or good afternoon.
Thank you.
So I'm going to try and share my presentation. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Stanley, we can hear you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Can you also see my presentation?
Please share the presentation. Ms. Tessie, please share the presentation from the host.
You can see it now?
Yeah,
yes,
we can. We can.
Perfect. Okay. So, as you can tell from my experience, I'm not a pharmacist, but I was starting to think, taking me back to my undergrad degree, I actually had a couple of courses in psychopharmacology and decided that remembering all those sequences really wasn't for me anymore. So, but when I put together this presentation, what you can see is this wheel. It kind of reminded me of pills, actually. So I will proceed to tell you what I do know about. So thank you very much for the introduction. As you can see, I did do 13 years in a health department, and part of those years were actually during other pandemics. So I had a front row seat on how decisions are made in a crisis situation. So what I'm going to talk about now is the current COVID-19 situation has actually made us change our approach on how we think and how we deal with the situation. I'm just going to minimize the pictures because I can't see my there. That's much better. So the current COVID situation is making us think differently. It's something called VUCA, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So we have a very volatile situation. We have a rising number of cases. The situation is uncertain because the lockdowns, we're not sure how long they will take. It's complex. It's so many moving parts to it that we have to take care and look at each one of these parts. There's reduced capacity, fear of in-person contact. There are few precedents, so it's quite ambiguous. And as I mentioned, VUCA requires a new approach. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about VUCA and how it works, I have provided definitions in the Harvard Business Review. So what we've been finding, certainly in my organization, is that there are very human needs during COVID-19. People are looking for, or they're demanding, a healthy, risk-free environment. This can be in any part of any industry, from manufacturing right up to client interface. People are also looking for connection and support, and then finally, professional development. So understanding the challenges and opportunities for pharmacists or people in the pharmaceutical industry, it's the same for any other industry. In order to understand and to make changes, you need to ask questions. Lots and lots of questions. Not only do you need to ask questions, but you need to listen deeply. This is listening deeply to a variety of customers. What do they need? Listening deeply to employees. What do they need to continuously improve or to do their job better? It's also about go and see. So Anjum has mentioned about the difficulties with go see because of social distancing. Go see can mean virtual means, but it's very, very important to get right down to where the action is happening. And the fourth is to sincerely reflect on all that you've learned through asking questions, listening, and seeing. It's only with these four processes that you can truly make a difference. So this is just something that I was thinking as a framework for decision making, because with the COVID-19, we all have to make decisions. And for me, going back to the ISO standards for quality management was very important. Adding the lean principles to bring in the human element, and also to look at the capabilities of the people working in the field. It's only through that process that you can make good decisions. So how does the ISO 9001 quality management come into play here? So first and foremost, should be a focus on the customer. In the pharmaceutical industry, this would be all about the patient. It's also about leadership, is taking a new direction. It's really about change management, deciding where you want to take your company, your industry, your field, and staying the course. It's also about involvement of people. Any change has to involve people, and they need to know why. There's also a process approach, which is an in-depth awareness of what has to be done and where you want to take things. Anjum was talking about looking at the value-added activities. It's looking at these sequences, being able to describe them, being able to pinpoint where there's a problem or something can be done to minimize a waste. There's also a system approach, is to look at the whole system, how it all works together and how you can manage flow to make sure that everything is about getting, in the pharmaceutical industry, medications to patients. Continuous improvement, without a doubt. Also a factual approach to decision making. It's not necessarily about aspirations. It's to know that you have the data to tell you that you're doing a good job, or the data to tell you where you could be going and what's the gap, what's the difference. Mutually beneficial supplier relations, absolutely, but also about risk-based thinking. What could go wrong? What's your plan B? So this is actually my focus as a student of both psychology and of business processes. That the lean actually spoke to me very much so. So these are the lean principles that are doubly important during the COVID-19. It's respect for every individual. What's going on with them? Are they having trouble getting to work? Are they afraid to enter the building? Are they so anxious that they can't think as they do their job? What about the people who are coming in to get their medications? Are they afraid? Are they able to get where they're supposed to get to? There's also leading with humility, admitting that you maybe not have everything figured out. And also to not beat yourself up if you're not perfect every time. This is a new environment, and you have to give yourself time to think through what has to be done. It's also improving flow and pull. As Anjum had mentioned, it's about looking at your processes, that you have the right medications go to the right people at the right time. It's all about making sure that there's a continuous flow to the customer. Create constancy of purpose. What is your vision for your company or your manufacturing facility? What makes you tick? Make sure that you stay to that purpose no matter what happens. So COVID-19 has given everyone, not just the pharmaceutical industry, the approach to do things differently. But before people get there, there's a need to build capacity. You may find that you need to adapt your work instructions to the new normal, move to a virtual approach, build new relationships, adjust your existing supply. You may wish to invest in co-mentoring. Now, one of the things that we've been playing with in our organization is a playground, which is something like discovery learning. So when you have a situation where no one really knows how to do something, and it's completely new, It kind of disrupts that normal co-mentoring normal mentoring relationship where there's someone with more expertise training someone with less expertise. COVID-19 has turned that on its head to some extent. So we're seeing that there is some reverse mentoring going on with younger people who are more tech savvy. But there's also the co-mentoring aspect where you discover things together. So is everyone able to see me going through my slides? I guess I'll continue. So as I said, where no one has all of the answers, try a playground. It's a risk-free area to learn together. It's hands-on learning experience. It's flexible. It has a flexible pace for co-mentoring, and it has elements of both design thinking and agility scrum to enable accelerated learning. So what I mean by this is, in the playground, you can limit your sessions to very short sessions. They can be half an hour, designed to make prototypes. Design thinking is about thinking about possibilities for the customer. So when you have a playground and you combine these two things, it's a very powerful way of arriving at solutions that meet your client needs. And it can be done basically with anything. So this is a little bit of change of pace. So what do you need to do to have, or the kinds of skills that you need to approach a situation like COVID that is completely new? Well, a good place to start, this is something by Robert B. Denhart called Just Plain Good Management, is to start with the foundational skills. As you can see on the slide, these are empathy. How are people feeling about what's going on? What do they need? Patience. Have the patience to let people work through their own processes and be able to identify their own needs. Caring, absolutely important. Humility. You don't have to have all the answers, but you do need to let people know where you are in the process. Self-awareness. Hey, I'm not doing so well. Let me scale it back, step back, and do some thinking. Compassion, generosity, learning all the time, everywhere, always. But balance, particularly when it's a very difficult situation. I know that when I was working at the Public Health Agency during other pandemics, it's very difficult for people to stop, relax, or go home. They were so taken with working on things for other people that they neglected themselves. Agility, just to keep that head working and thinking, being resilient, and being able to step back and look at things, but then go forward. So these are just some of the things that I jotted down, which would be COVID-19 lessons for tomorrow. It's very important to have an attitude with no one left behind and a focus on the client, continuous improvement, but at the same time respect for people. It's about discovering flexibility and linkages that maybe you hadn't thought of before. For example, I know in Canada with the hand sanitizer, different industries were saying, hey, we can make a difference. We can supply hand sanitizer. So there were alcohol manufacturers that switched part of their operations. This was something different. It's learning to do things together and differently, thinking through biases and potential consequences, and just plain being human. So I guess I can say thank you for inviting me. This is the close of my presentation. And are there any questions for me?
Yeah, thank you so very much, Miss Ruth. It was quite informative. I just want to ask a question from you. That America and Canada, they share border with each other.
Yes.
And there was just a difference of 1 week in the first case reporting of the COVID-19 in January. Then how come that this COVID has proven to be a horrible disaster for the America, but in Canada, the things are pretty under control? What do you believe were the reasons that made the difference?
Well, I have a joke which will maybe help answer that question. So, how do you get 50 Canadians out of a pool? Please leave the pool. So I think it is partly attitude. I would say quite a bit attitude. There's also the second is that our border has been closed to the United States from early March. So that is definitely something that is helpful. Across the country, we have mandatory masks, and people are very good about wearing masks. Some also may be that the way we live, we tend to live in single family homes with a backyard. So instead of going to parks or hanging out in different places, we tend to enjoy and relax in our own backyards and maybe talk over the fence. So in many ways, there are many cultural differences between Canada and the United States. So I think that is also helping. But yeah, mostly we're just a really great people. So we tend to care for one another and work out compromises. It's as you know, both Anjum and I have worked with the federal government and the health departments, and it really is about working collaboratively. So I know that I sat in many briefings where there were federal and provincial governments that were working together and saying, so how can we work together to deal with this situation and learn from each other? And there's definitely a concerted way forward. It's not the same in other countries where they seem to be, me first, fighting with one another. So it's a completely different culture, and it seems to be making a difference in terms of COVID-19. It's also a very flexible culture. I can tell you that I have 8 children, which is extraordinary. But the last one is in high school, and she was given the choice to go back to school or to go to school virtually. So it's about being flexible in the way that you make your products or have people come to your facility, or also how you deliver your products. So, and those services are delivered in the way people feel most comfortable. So I think that maybe for us that that is working. Like, yeah, God willing. But yeah, so that's really all I have to say. Did you want to ask me another question, or?
Ms. Stanley, thank you very much to join us and a very informative presentations. In your presentations, I have listened about, and I also read about the Agile Scrum.
Yes.
What is the basic principle of the Agile Scrum in your mind? Because the development and the implication in the COVID-19 is different than the other scenarios. So please correlate it with the present scenario and in the past when the situation was very normal. Thank you.
So an Agile Scrum is basically a series of meetings where people get together to come up with a prototype. So it's being able to produce something very rapidly. And these Scrum teams are usually with a diverse set of people or players with different knowledge and expertise. So it allows prototypes to be developed very, very quickly. So what you'll see is you'll have a gradual development of a product in short spurts. That's what that's meant for. So it's all about brainstorming and getting something done and getting it out, knowing that it won't necessarily be perfect the first time, but you'll have a gradual improvement of a product. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much.
So that can be done for just about anything. It could be medications, it could be services. In the ASQ region, we actually did that with webinars. Is how can we make our webinars better each time? So.
Yes. Yes. There is definitely the attitude also that also pass through these changes, the behavior of the people, interaction with the people, and to respond to this pandemic. Thank you very much.
So it's basically what I was hoping to provide in my presentation is it's all about your attitude. It's about seeing possibilities to find new ways of doing things, so as a very positive way. And I hope I've conveyed that, and thank you for allowing me to do that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so very much for your time. Now it's my privilege to invite Mr. Shoaib Hakim for the presentation. Mr. Shoaib Hakim holds a worthy 40 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry in the plant technical operation management, regulatory affair management, supply chain management, manufacturing technical operation, product development, plant engineering operation management. He is an expert of the technical audits. He worked in the wide pharmaceutical industry, Survey Research Pharmaceutical as the Director Technical, and Wilshire Pharmaceutical as the Director Technical. These days, he has been serving as the Chief Operating Officer at the Masood Pharmaceuticals. Sir, please kindly join the session. I believe there is some technical issue with Mr. Shoaib Hakim's number. We better invite our next speaker, Dr. Yasir Mahmood. Madam, kindly.
Okay, can I talk? Or you will wait for Mr. Shape, sir?
I believe Sir Shoaib is here.
Okay.
Sir, can you hear me? Sir, kindly unmute your mic.
Okay, that's okay. Now, can you help me?
Yeah, yes.
Share screen. Please, Tehseen, give me an access to share screen.
Okay, sir. Just wait for a while. So can you do it now?
Just a moment, yes. COVID-19.
जी शोएब साहब हम आपको देख भी सकते हैं सुन भी सकते हैं.
Thank you very much, Dr. Umera, and
Welcome.
really, I'm really glad and pleased to be a part of this afternoon webinar. And good morning to everybody, especially the people in Canada. And I'm really thankful to Anjum and Ma'am Ruth. I mean, they have given their precious time. Dr. Umera, I think your institute has taken a lead in this COVID-19 awareness, and I'm really thankful to your Vice Chancellor, Dr. Bushra also. And I'm sure you are always very active and very, if I say the word, very aggressive at the same time while doing such event. Tehseen, very well done. I really am thankful to you, and I still remember a month or 2 months before you were contacting me to do something for this event on 25th of August, and you have done a splendid job. And hats off for the Lahore Women's University Institute of Pharmacy and the whole team. Thank you, Dr. Umera. And just as Tehseen has introduced myself, I'm basically from industry. I did my master from Punjab University, Lahore. My whole experience is obviously in the industry. I think that the topic chosen by yourself and your team is the really need of the day, because the whole world at the moment is going through a very tough time. I mean, the word challenges and opportunities very, very rightly placed here. Because whenever we say there are challenges, it means obviously the opportunities are there. So we all know it was the 11th March 2020 when WHO declared the pandemic as far as this COVID-19 was concerned. And we all know that it started from China in December 2019, I think, from Wuhan. But at the same time, sometime when the difficult times comes, you learned a lot. You learned how to tackle with the challenges. You how to grab the opportunities in such time. So I'll be very brief because a lot of things have been already detailed and has already been done by Anjum Shafi and Ma'am Ruth. I'm sure I won't take much time because it will be just as other speakers have already said about this thing. As we know, the pandemic of the COVID-19 poses considerable crisis on the health markets, including the pharmaceutical sector. I don't say including, it was a major sector as far as this pharmaceutical sector was concerned. Because all of us, I mean, this was, as I told you, it was a crisis. I mean, and thankfully almost 6 to 7 months have gone. The things are settling down, not fully. Part of those are, especially if I talk about Pakistan, I mean, it's really commendable as the things have been controlled. And the major part, obviously, the people who are really followed the SOPs and all of the things. The important thing during this COVID-19 was how the pharmaceutical industry reacted in this whole phases. In Pakistan, normally the people go by task. So there was no sort of high inventories in their warehouses as far as the raw materials and the APIs were concerned. So when the whole global, this world, I mean, when they faced all this situation, this crisis, especially when there is no airflow, all the flights have been, if I say all the flights have been cancelled, there was no transportations. So in Pakistan, and I think I really salute to the industry because the way they tackled this situation, because during COVID-19, government of Pakistan poses all lockdowns, smart lockdowns or partial lockdowns, whatever you name it, but the lockdowns were there. And obviously the fear was also there. But again, this pharma industry, I mean, did their job in a very, if I say, in a very right way to contribute their inputs to this whole crisis as far as the medications and other things were concerned. Because COVID-19, not only it was a COVID-19, because if the industry, unfortunately, I mean, but the good thing was it was not like that. But as the lockdowns were there in Pakistan, so the fear was there that might be as other industries have closed down their, partially or fully closed down their businesses. So the fear was there, might be pharma industry will go like that. But again, pharma industry did their job, and apart from not this COVID-19 medication, but all other medication of the patients who are obviously hospitalized, not, I mean, good at their homes, taking their some medicine for heart, for diabetes, for all other. So the pharma industry continued their inputs and continued their activities as per the requirement. But what we did, I mean, when I say the we, it's the pharma industry in Pakistan, they work very smartly. I mean, they hold all their inventories and they go again task by task, whatever the medication is required, what is the need of the day. Because all of us know the patient COVID-19, normally the people say it was mainly with the old age people, especially above 50 or 60. So when we all know when the people go above 50 and 60, all other complications come with the human being. So industry, I mean, reacted directly, I mean, reacted in a right way. What we did, identification of these effects may guide policymakers towards more evidence-informed planning to overcome accompanying challenges. I really, again, hats off to the government of Pakistan, especially the DRAP, Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan, especially the people who are involved in all these crises, as far as the planning was concerned, as far as the implementations of the SOPs was concerned, and as far as the fast approvals given during these months, especially for the APIs and devices, when we talk about the ventilators, which was a very critical key ingredient in all this medication. So we know in Pakistan, the ventilators were obviously, they were not in that shape, they were not in that numbers. But again, the industry, the science, and the engineering areas of the Pakistan, they did supplanted again as far as their speedy activities on these health sector is concerned. So COVID-19 pharmaceutical industry, as I am talking about, it might be short term. What we did, the medication shortages, as I told you, we knew that all of the transportation has been disconnected, and obviously we know that Pakistan is mainly importing all those raw materials, all those, even the equipment, the machines from China, from India, from Europe. So what as I told you earlier, we did very smartly. Research and development shifts, obviously, I mean, all the efforts were as far as this development was concerned, and we all know the word sanitizers came like anything. It was like anything. Everybody was talking about the sanitizers. I still remember, Dr. O'Mara, you were following me rather like anything, that please wrap up, do something as the sanitizers are concerned, because we have to open our institute, we have to do something for the students and your vice chancellor. I mean, everybody was involved in sanitizers. And I still remember Government of Punjab, the Secretary of Health Punjab, they called a very emergency meeting in which not only the industry people, all the big pharmacies in Lahore, in Pakistan, they invited them, and they said, and I think everybody knew about this dispensing. So what they did, they said, please, at any cost, we have to produce a quality, safe sanitizers in the market. Because the first thing, as far as the SOP was concerned, and the Corona COVID-19 hazards are concerned, those were the hands. So everybody is talking about the hygiene, the sanitation, how to wash your hand. People came to know what is 20 seconds and at what time we have to wash our hands, at what time we have to hygiene ourselves, at what time we have to make the sanitation programs at our houses, at our workplaces, at our industry, even at road, whatever. You know that even on the road, the people have stocked those sanitizers in a drums, in a volume. So people are making all awareness as far as these approaches. So communication shifts towards telemedicine. This telemedicine came on the surface. Everybody was talking from home. And this was an opportunity that we can say in those such like crises, we can move on. We can't stay. We can't disconnect ourselves from the community. So this also gave an opportunity. Even the schools, the colleges, the health sectors, telemedicine, the hospitals. Everybody was communicated. Even the people came to know how to. I mean, remember the telephone numbers of the ambulances. I mean, everybody was so active during this crisis. So what we did, I mean, treatment demand, there were journal-induced demand, supply shortages, as I told you, and as far as the finished product was concerned. Yes, the government, I mean, as for the approval delays, although there was some problems and we faced some of the problems, obviously there were some procedures from the draft, and we shift, I mean, towards self-sufficiency in the pharma industry. Pharma industry growth slowdown, no doubt, as Anjum Shafi has already said, there was some, you can say, snags in that all crisis. Slowdown was there. It was not a normal activities as far as this COVID-19 was there. So this all ethical demands, long-term, everything was in divided. The pandemic COVID-19, pharmaceutical companies, as already told you, work to develop potential vaccines and treatment for COVID-19. They are operating under extreme pressure. During this crisis, one thing I tell you in the industry, especially when we talk about the pharma industry, the people came to know how to work under the stress management. This was a stress. The people in some of the industry, they work 24 hours because I told you, the whole sections of the liquid section, they were day and night, they were producing this sanitizers and all the other related medicines. And stress management was even from the sanitation worker up to the director level, the high levels of the companies, they were aware of this, how to make and teamwork was there. Everybody was communicating. Everybody was very open. The people came to know how to tackle with such sort of crisis, such sort of stress management, and the industry did that. Keeping in view, make sure almost even a medium-sized industry, they are comprising of 300 to 400 employees in their premises. So having all said, as far as the SOPs were concerned, as far as other precautions, parameters was concerned, every parameter was observed. Every single employee at the time of their entry, he was declared fit for the work as far as the initial parameters of like temperature or other like some coughing and sneezing were concerned. So anyone who has some doubts like any coughing or temperature, he has been requested to stay at home. As we all know, during these SOPs, as far as sanitization is concerned, distance living was also one of the top, you can say, parameter as far as how to avoid this COVID-19. Then the short-term and long-term impacts of the pandemic of the COVID-19 on the pharmaceutical sector, as I told you, the short-term was there, how to tackle the prevailing situation, and obviously long-term impacts also. We got an opportunity how to plan, how to got our warehouses as far as the requirements of the APIs are concerned, the machines are concerned. So, I mean, everybody was disciplined. It looks like an automation that everybody was as advised, he or she is working accordingly. Then was characterized, obviously, it was by WHO, as I already told you, had major effects on the health market, the pharmaceutical sector especially, and was associated with considerable impact. This may appear in short and long term horizon and need identification and appropriate planning to reduce this socio-economic burden. As I told you, every industry did their work, did their activity very smartly. Study assessed pharmaceutical market during COVID-19, discussing short and term. As I told you earlier, pharmaceutical sector was one of the very active element in maintaining all these objectives. Short and long term, already told you. And short term, what is short term? Due to induced demand and panic buying, you know, this word came during this crisis. Everybody was panic, as I told you, the fear was there, no doubt. And I think it was very rightly analyzed that the fear is there, because when we had this fear, that's why we followed the SOPs. Everybody was obviously, as far as his own human being is concerned, as far as the family is concerned, as far as the colleagues are concerned, so on. So, but unfortunately, this panic buying of all home medication was also the which led to obviously shortage of some of the medicines which were, I tell you, which was not required. As we knew that when the hydrochloroquine was announced or some other things were announced, some immunity boosters were announced, even the Panadol was shortage in the market. But it was, again, it was sort of I can say you can't avoid it otherwise, because as I told you, the fear was there. Then also the shortage due to supply chain inconsistencies. As I told you, there was all disconnection as for the transportation through by air, through by sea, everything was disconnected. So supply chain was inconsistent. But again, I tell you, I told you already that industry did very smartly as far as their inventory levels were concerned. They were so good. I think I had been in the industry during this all 6-7 months with other industries also. Even on a daily basis, the meetings was there, and the planning was there, the inventory levels were discussed. So not to, I mean, having any sort of acute shortages of the medicines related to the health sectors, not only COVID-19, as I earlier told you, unfortunately, there was a panic buying. Then induced demand for stocking medication by public, as I told you, which is called panic buying, may cause periodic shortage, already discussed in this point. Yes, the China and India were the world main suppliers of API, as I told you, as far as Pakistan is concerned, especially the key starting materials and also finished pharmaceutical. As they are struggling with the disease and also slowdown in production, obviously China was a main factories in that way. This may have contributed to shortage, and also price increase is essential. I mean, unfortunately, these were the facts which we came across. But as the time went on, it was like March, April. But when the May, June, July came, when everybody behaved in a very disciplined and in a very wise way. Global and local levels, due to the social distancing precautions, marketing and promotions of healthcare product providers are being shifted from face to face, and these were shifting to the Skies, to the Zooms, to the other gadgets as well as the long distance meetings were concerned. As I told you earlier, I mean, nobody stopped their work. No, the good thing was that wherever they were getting all these sort of advices, all these sort of SOPs, they were following to fight with this COVID-19. As for the delayed approvals from now, again, I will mention that as far as our draft regulatory authority of Pakistan really did their job. I know some of the people who are very professional working at the draft, and they were day and night. They were working with the collaboration of the health sector, with the ministerial level, with the government level, and with obviously with the collaboration of the industry. So the delay, what was the crisis management approval delays may be seen due to several months of application review postponed. It is also affected by about 1 month semi-closure of the regulatory agencies. No doubt, I mean, it was there, it was observed. Coronavirus pandemic resulted in economical slowdowns. Every corner was slowed down. And the slowdown in the market growth is more due to the entry of the newer medication because of the priorities of the pharmaceutical companies, changes in their portfolio. Consumption trend changes, obviously, as I told you, habits related to consumption, refilling prescriptions, especially in chronic disease, therapeutic areas, might happen and may also be further affected by the emerging telemedicine. Currently, public is concerned with the personal hygiene maintenance. This was a very important area, I think, which public, the people, if I say, even a layman, I mean, they followed, they knew these words. They come across all these precautions, which were like mainly using nose, mouth protection, anti-infectious material, fireman clothing, hand sanitizers. Due to extended period of the pandemic, this consumption may remain in behavioral acts of the public globally and locally. Let's hope how much time this COVID-19 will take more. Nobody knows, but as I told you, the things are settling down as the time went on. Global pandemic may be associated with the numerous short and long-term impacts on the health market, mainly the pharmaceutical sector again. This can be seen from both global and perspective. Identifying these impacts may guide policymakers. Obviously, policymakers, I mean, they were very active during this whole activity. One of the things I want to mention here is just, I mean, I have some notes with me also. Just before I finish this short presentation, yes, identifying these impacts may guide policymakers. As I told you, as far as the policymakers were very active, and even the mask manufacturing company. Even today, I mean, now people are planning as far as these PPEs are concerned, personal protective equipments are concerned. Now it's look normal, I tell you. Now it's look normal. Initially, it was very tough, very, if I say, like wearing a PPEs and working with in the hospitals, or working even the policeman who is standing in the roads wearing the PPEs. It looks to be very difficult. Now it's becoming normal and normal at the same time. For proper planning to prevent long-term complications, God forbid, I mean, it should never rather come again. But again, we have to be now, as I told you, the opportunity to learn something, to learn further how to make the long-term plannings. And as far as these crises are concerned, identification of these effects is essential for policymaker. Again, guidance towards more evidence-informed planning to overcome accompanying challenges. This may be more important in the context of the developing countries with more scarce health care resources and pharma emerging markets. Like in Pakistan, obviously, we are underdeveloped countries, and I think we did a splendid job. If I tell you, as far as 220 million people living in Pakistan, and today the death rate is just 9, 6, 10 within a span of 5 to 6 months. This is a tremendous job, not only by the government, by the people. And by the people mean all the health stakeholders. I mean, even on the roads, even on television, print media, wherever you find people, they were advising to each other. They were making, telling them the precautions to the people, starting from the kids. I have seen the kids 4 or 5 years old running on the road, walking on the road, wearing the mask, having a sanitizer in their pockets. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ji, thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Sir, very informative and always pleasure to hear you. And definitely the points that you highlighted are very good and very objective. That as a nation, what we evolved out, I was not expecting.
Yes.
Definitely, we observe so much and such a huge population. To implement those rules is very difficult till the time the nation itself don't agree with the rules and regulations. Thank you very much.
Very true. Very true. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yes,
Smara.
yes. I'm very pleased to listen that there was no problem with reference to the management of the inventory in majority of the industries. But
Yes.
I think there should be collaboration among the government institutions and the pharmaceutical industries for the basic manufacturing, because if the lockdown is extended for a long period of time and the inventory is not maintained, then what should be the strategy? This is my first question.
Yes.
If there is extensive lockdown, then what about the maintenance of the inventory? And my second question is with respect to the qualification of the equipment, particularly the resolution and the HPLC. If the qualification of the equipment is due, and if due to any pandemic we don't get the qualification certificate for these equipments, then what about the quality of the medicines? How can you maintain the supply chain of the medicines if the qualification is not done for the principal equipment to be used for the manufacturing and for the quality control of the medication?
Svera, I agree with you. I mean, as far as you said, the inventory in the industry is concerned, as I told you, the industry did very smartly active because all the connections as far as the transportation was concerned. But this challenge gave us an opportunity, as I earlier told you, that we have started research and development, and if I say the research and development areas in the industry. And even today, I was talking to somebody in the morning, as you told me, that institutions can play a very vital role, very important role, I tell you. Today, we are inviting some of the people, some of the institutions to come forward, send your MPhil students, send your faculty members to collaborate with the industry, because industry has all those equipment in the quality control and manufacturing premises that they can do anything. But the institutions should come forward now. I mean, it's the time now. It's a need of the day that institution and academia versus industry should go together. And as you were talking about some of the qualification of the equipment, one thing I tell you, already pharma, before this pandemic, I mean this occurred, this COVID-19, already the industry is very much concerned, and there are very clear and definite regulations by the government and by WHO or FDA as a global regulation that none of your equipment should be less than 21 CFR. It should be a compliant globally. So when you talk about any medicines as for the new, you can say the new formulation is concerned, formulation can be a new one, but as far as the equipment quality, it should be compliant with the global rules and regulations. Tablet is a tablet, syrup is a syrup, injection is a injection, whatever the formulation change is there. So the basic principles to test and analyze those, apart from nowadays, why we say the 20 CFR compliant equipment? Because nowadays, first of all, the safety of the equipment and then the quality of the medicine. I mean to say, when you talk about any tablet, it should be tested obviously as far as potency point of view or quality point of view, but at the same time, it should be a safe medication. Contamination is a main, you can say now, a challenge, because you can have a quality medicine, but you are not sure as whether what level of contamination is there. So when we talk about any medication, the important point is the safety of the product. So these are all things you are rightly, if I say, indicated that academia and industry should move forward. And I have already some of the discussion with you people also, and Dr. Humera also, and some of the principals of other institutions also, that please, industry is there now. Industry is ready to accept your research people, your as far as even the internees are concerned, or whatever. I mean, you feel industry is there, because now today the industry is fully equipped. I tell you, starting from the GC, atomic absorption, FTNIR, HPLCs, whatever you name it, the latest equipment. Now it is with the industry. And again, thanks to DRAP, Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan, who make all these regulations as a mandatory regulation. Today, none of the company, whosoever is coming to this market, is not allowed, is not licensed until unless they fulfill all those regulations. And I'm sure you are also aware of this thing. The DRAP is now in the process of PICS qualification, as you were talking about some of the qualification. PICS qualification means we have to be par as far as the standards of the global standards are concerned. Thank you. I'm sure as some of your questions has been answered during this my reply. But I am available, I tell you, to your whole faculty, Dr. Humera, Tehseen, and Sumera. Yes, I am always available. It's my mission, rather.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dr. Yasir Mahmood. Currently, he is working as plant head in A&A Pharma. He has diversified experience in quality control, quality assurance, production and R&D, and he has extensive knowledge of ICH, USP, BP, ASTM, HACCP, and has led several investigational development and clinical projects in Pakistan. Mr. Yasir Mahmood, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Madam, please allow me to share my desktop.
यहाँ से करेंगे
और आपने जिज्ञासा में से पूछा आज है वो भी आज आप सब
Okay, please let me know. Can you see my presentation on the desktop?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
बिल्कुल सर नजर आ रही है आपकी प्रेजेंटेशन.
Chale. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my seniors and the former presenter and the faculty of the LCWU to invite me or to involve me in this valuable talk. Okay, I will take a start with the name of Allah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi zidni ilma. Okay, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'an. Okay, the topic of the discussion or the presentation is challenge and opportunities for the pharmaceutical industry amid COVID-19. The content which I will discuss in this presentation are the pharmaceutical industry current situation, the challenges faced in the pandemic, and we have classified the challenges into the internal and the external challenges which are indirectly interlinked with the pharmaceutical industry. Then we will discuss about the source of the API and the dependency, which is the major challenge for the Pakistan. And then we'll talk about the challenge for the regulatory, and then we'll talk about the opportunities. Okay, the challenge faced in the pandemic. Pharmaceutical industry, through being a valuable industry at the current time of the coronavirus health crisis, is facing tough challenges to conduct its business activity. and planned clinical trials for the other diseases are getting postponed, which will delay and development of the new medicines. Major events and conferences organized for the healthcare professionals are getting postponed or are already cancelled. Import of the raw material is restricted, which will affect the manufacturing activity and in turn will lead to the lower sales. The Pakistan has faced the different types of the challenges. And first of all, I will let you know the current situation of the pharmaceutical industry, Pakistan pharmaceutical, especially I will focus on the Pakistan pharmaceutical industry. Okay, the Pakistan had around the 770 medicine companies, which have included the pharmaceutical companies, nutraceuticals, and the herbals. The country import is about $677 million worth of the medicine products, and industry is exporting the medicines worth about $300 million. This is the normal values of the Pakistan pharma in the normal days. The Pakistan reported its first two confirmed cases in the 26th February 2020, which were increased day by day. Pakistan announced its first lockdown on the March 23 and the situation became worst for the pharma industry. Pakistan in particular and the Southeast Asia in general are facing the most critical time of this pandemic as the number of cases and the mortality in rising on the daily basis is at the alarming trends. According to the Pakistan Bureau of the Statistics, the country import 677 million worth of the medicinal products during the first 8 months of the year 2019 and the 2020, which was decreased by the 50% in the pandemic and during this outbreak situation and during this lockdown. Industry was exporting about the medicine worth about $300 million, which were decreased by the 50%. Units were stopped because the units were stopped for the productions in the lockdowns. The challenge faced by the pharma uh, I already told you that we have classified these challenges into the external and the internal challenges. First, I will talk about the external challenges. External challenges are rising the number of the US FDA inspection. The first challenge faced by the pharma industry in all over the world in the regulatory control, which were hard in outbreak period to ensure the quality of the product. As you know, in the Pakistan, we don't have the single FDA approved plant, so we did not face this challenge. But in the China and India, from where we can import the medicine or the raw material, face this challenge. The main focus of inspection was to ensure the medicine safety, quality, and the availability. But in Pakistan, a regulatory decrease in the inspection schedule due to its most companies suffered because they need the renewal of the license. The GMP has been expired, the GMP certificate for the export or for the government supply has been expired. But at this time, for pharma industry did not get all above three things and they suffered because the regulatory was not ready to inspect the pharma industries. Okay, on the other hand, due to the lack of control of the regulatory substandard products were increased in the market, especially the hand sanitizer and the mask and the other aseptic things. Okay, the country imported a 95% of its raw material from the Shanghai or the Beijing, while the rest came from the India. India is also the biggest export of the medicine raw material. However, both countries have altered the trade due to the political tension between them. Normally, no company wanted to retain the raw material inventory. However, there was some seasonal factors due to which the companies imported more than the usual during some months. Commenting on the outbreak of the coronavirus in the Pakistan, these were unusual time as the pandemic had halted economic activities throughout the world. Hence, in Pakistan, pharmaceutical sector was also bearing the brunt. For medicinal raw material was not only needed for the patient for the COVID-19, but also to produce a medicine for the general diseases. As already mentioned in the above headings, we have the 19 plants for the basic manufacturing, but for this we have also purchased the precursor materials. We also purchase this precursor material from the India or from the China. So this is our major dependency on the China and on the India. In the future, we have to overcome these problems. So we cannot depend upon the India or the other countries for the life-saving drugs. We should build the basic chemical or the petrochemical industry in the Pakistan. Okay, now the next was the fake products. This was another issue in this regard. The most of street industries make the substandard medicines like the substandard hand sanitizer, like the substandard mask, and this was the big challenge for the not only for the regulatory authority but for the patients. And the FDA announcement is the last one, the external challenge which we have faced. The US Food and Drug Administration issued an emergency use authorization of the investigation antiviral drug, the remdesivir, for the treatment of the suspected or the laboratory confirmed COVID-19 in adult and children hospitalized with the severe disease. But at the same time, in the Pakistan, raw material was not available and import was shut down due to the outbreak. So this was the major challenge for the pharma industry. How to available this drug in the market is the critical for the Pakistan. On the other side, the draft forced the industries to construct the cold room for the remdesivir storage and its process. We have personally faced this challenge because the market was closed due to lockdown and no one was ready to construct or to build the cold room facility. And now I will talk about the internal challenge what we have faced in the pharmaceutical industries are the less staff due to the lockdown. The transportation was not allowed out because of the less number of staff was available due to the new SOPs of the pandemic. There were the restrictions on the high number of the workers, and then the high government checks. Government has started the inspections to the monitor the SOPs in the industry, so it was difficult for the farmer to continue with the high productions. And the limited works due to the limited resources like the API, the utilities, the transportation, export and import shutdown. There was a limited work in the pharma. Unemployment because of the limited resources of the or the unavailability of the API. The active pharmaceutical ingredient, some industries stop their productions and they start the downsizing, which produce the unemployment. And the workers training, this was also the major challenge to train the workers for the following the SOPs during the pandemic. Workers were not ready to follow the SOP and it was difficult for the pharma to maintain the SOP. Worker tax on the weekly basis, this was also a challenge for the because kits, the PCR kits were not readily available in the market, and the transportation issue and the downsizing was also the issues. And the insufficient supply such as the bottles, caps and the packing material for the medicine will affect the output and the impact of which is expected for to the felt over the period of next 3 to 4 quarters. This supply shortage may also lead to the pricing volatility in the future. Companies will try to maintain the inventories for the long duration. Buffer capacity will increase, which may affect the inventory cycles. Okay. Okay, then I will talk about the challenges for the regulatory which have been faced by our DRAP or our the primary and secondary health. And the clinical trial approvals, some university applied for the clinical trials to the DRAP and it was about the COVID-19 disease and it was challenging to arrange the full core meeting to approval for the trial in the pandemic situations. Inspection of the industry was increased due to maintain the drug supply, and the other issues were to control the API shortage, to control the finished product shortage, essential medicine availability in the market, the price controlling, the fake marks availability, to control the substandard hand sanitizer, the new drug approval, and the price control. These were the challenge for the regulatory authority like the DRAP, primary secondary health services. Now, I will talk about the opportunities, but every crisis brings with it an opportunity, and this is the time to opportunity may knock the door of the small pharmaceutical companies. It is very possible that for cost-cutting measures, major drug makers may outsource the project of the secondary importance to the smaller pharmaceutical companies, especially the domestic players can benefit from the grabbing new projects, and if accompanied by the favorable government policies, can boost the pharmaceutical business of resources limited as well as the developed countries. The opportunity, the crisis may also face few companies to think about the new business models. The new business model include the different online pharmacies, the face mask production and the sale was increased, and many of the companies have been started to make the hand sanitizer and the face mask, and the anti-COVID-19 drugs production increased, like the chloroquine tablets production increased, dexamethasone production has been increased by the fourfold, azithromycin has been increased by the fourfold, empty bottles production started increased, diagnostic kit preparation started in Pakistan, and the faculty member, the HEC funded was increased for the new drug against the COVID-19, and the ventilator prototypes model approved by the DRAP, and this was also the opportunity for the businessman to build the new industries to prepare the ventilators in the Pakistan. The new drug approval through the DRAP has started to approve the drug against the COVID-19 within the 1 month. Otherwise, it takes several years to approve. And the remdesivir approval, some industries got the approval of the antiviral drug, the remdesivir, and started to launch in the Pakistan. And this was also the big opportunity for those who got its registrations. And now at the end, I will talk about what we should do as per the World Trade Organization. The trade scenario will largely depend upon the duration of the outbreak and the effectiveness of the policy response. Spending on the healthcare by the government will increase. Dependency in terms of import of the APIs of the essential drugs like erythromycin and cephalosporin should be reduced. Even if we treat this pandemic a one-time shock, we need to build our capability or to tackle any such emergencies in the future. For now, let's hope for a quicker recovery from the pandemic and follow the social distance norms as a responsible citizen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yasir, for a very comprehensive presentation. Any question?
Dr. Yasir, I want to ask a question from you.
You sure?
As you talked about different challenges, one challenge is that the vaccines are there, and we used to read it about it is in clinical phase 3.
Yes.
How much time you expect that the vaccine will be marketed? My first question.
Okay. Let me answer the first question, then you can ask the second one. I think more than 100 companies have been involved to make the vaccines, and about more than 20 companies have been reached in the clinical phase 3. And in the near future, I have heard that inshallah it will be in the end of this year. The most of the companies have been able to market these vaccines.
Okay. Secondly, what the role of DRAP in doing this research products or the research initiatives that so far you have seen that DRAP has taken? Because we were talking about the people, they are our own people, they are our friends, the pharmacist colleagues, that the industry or the academia may have a very vital role in ruling out these clinical trials, but still it is in process. So what you see that how much DRAP is serious about these clinical projects to get involved with industry and academia.
Okay. Let me clear one thing that the industries are not fully, you can say that, aware with the clinical trials. Most of the universities or the health, like the UHS, has been involved in this, and recently they did the clinical trial on the COVID-19 about the azithromycin and the chloroquine, and they have published the data. But if we talk about the DRAP has a miserable conditions, and they are not ready to approve even the new dosage form. They copy the WHO or the FDA or the other countries. If you want to make the another and for the dosage form, but they are not ready to approve that kind of dosage form. Most of the time we have seen that the MPhil students and the PhD student have prepared the different dosage form, but if you will go to the trap and you will ask to approve these type of the medicine or the dosage form. I'm not talking about the API or the new molecule. I'm just talking about the new dosage form. They will not ready to approve this type of the dosage form. So this is the miserable condition at this time. DRAP is not ready.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So I will now I will conclude today's webinar. Our external and internal speakers have highlighted well the challenges posed by this COVID-19 and the new opportunities as a result of this pandemic, like the grabbing new project as the Mr. Yasin Mahmood has mentioned, then development of the new medications, development of the new clinical trials, and an aptitude, a local aptitude towards the basic and managed manufacturing. I think there is a need for a international, for a global collaboration among the pharma industries, so that we can share the knowledge and build scenario plans, so that we can well anticipate these type of the infections well before the time and take the appropriate actions. Lastly, I am very thankful to all the speakers, and I must pay my special gratitude to Worthy Vice Chancellor Dr. Bushra Mirza, Director Institute of Pharmacy Professor Dr. Humaira Majid Khan, Dr. Anjum Zia, and Mr. Ahmed for facilitating this web broadcasting. Our co-organizers, Ms. Hafsa Afzal, Ms. Misbah Mahmood, and especially the Ms. Yasin, who was continuously in touch with the foreign externals. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz and good afternoon.
Allah Hafiz.